Happy Wednesday, crafting friends. Today we're going to make a fun easel card using my favorite set of the season, the Night Divine set. So we're going to use the stamps and dies and some stylish shapes dies, and we are going to make this a fun easel card. Isn't that neat? So it actually will stand up on your recipient's table so they can see the card you've created. So as always, if you want today's dimensions for the card and all the step-by-step instructions in a free color PDF tutorial step-by-step, then you can subscribe to my Buzz Bulletin and get all of that info, all the measurements, the PDF tutorial, and all of that emailed to you every single week on my tutorials. You can subscribe below for my Buzz Bulletin, or you can go to stampinqueenbee.com and you can click on join our Buzz Bulletin newsletter and sign up there. It's totally free, and I love to send you those each week. So we've got a fun card to make, so let me move this out of the way, and we're going to be using this Night Divine set. We're going to be using the sentiments from here. We're also going to be using the Night Divine dies, as well as one of the stylish shapes dies. And today's card inspiration came from page 70 in our mini catalog. I love these for ideas and inspiration, and so today's card idea comes from a version of that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull in my paper trimmer here and a piece of wild wheat. So at first, this is one of our newer in colors for this year. And when wild wheat first came out, I was like, oh, I don't know about that color. But one thing as I've been using it, I really like is that it kind of resembles a gold. And so I think especially on today's card, it gives that gold look to it. So all I'm doing first is creating our card base. And so we've just scored it in half and cut it in half, and we've got then our card base here. And so with that, we're going to do one extra score mark on here. And so we are just going to go ahead and score that while we're here. Okay, so we've got now our card base created. So we'll set that aside here for a minute. And I've already kind of pre-cut a lot of our pieces that we're going to use today. And I've even die cut some of our pieces as well. So let's start with some stamping. So we've got a piece of Very Vanilla, and I've already cut out here a piece of Very Vanilla and the stylish shapes. So we've got those two. We're gonna bring in some stamps here and our wild wheat stamp pad. So you'll see how this really does kind of create, it's almost like a goldish color. So we're gonna ink this up. Make sure it's good and inked. We're gonna line this up on here. And we will stamp that down. And just peel that right off. There we go. Okay. And then we're gonna use our stylish shapes here with our Joy and Peace sentiment. And we'll ink that up. And we'll go ahead and stamp that down. Perfect. So that's our stamping. How easy, huh? Okay, so now we'll set our ink pad aside because we're gonna need that here in a second. I'm gonna bring in a scratch paper and I'm gonna bring in some paper snips. So I already die cut our manger scene from our Night Divine dies. So this is one die here, And I already cut that out. For this card, we're gonna actually cut this into a couple of pieces. And so how I did that is I just snipped and snipped. And then on our Mary and Joseph here, all I'm gonna do is kind of round these edges that I snipped. Okay, so now we've got our 3 pieces there. I'm gonna bring in one of our mini blending brushes, and I just label mine with the color so that I know. I never have to wash them then. They kind of get better as you use them. So we're gonna go ahead and swirl in a little bit of color. Remember, you always wanna kind of tap off just a tiny bit when you first do that. And we're just gonna go along the edges in circular motion to our sentiment here. We're just kind of giving it a little bit of dimension so it pops on our card. Okay, so now we just basically gave that a little bit of a border. Then we're gonna set that aside and we're gonna do the same thing to the edges of our pieces here. So we don't wanna do the whole thing. I mean, you could, but we're just gonna do the edges here. So just the outer edges, just to give it a bit of depth. And do the same thing on this shepherd. Just on the edge there. And then, see, we don't want that big dark color. That's why we kind of tap it off just a tiny bit. Okay, and then on our Mary and Joseph and baby, we're just gonna do both edges. And if you want to do the bottom, you can do that as well. Okay, so we're just giving it a bit of kind of highlighting there. Okay, so let's put this away and now we can start almost assembling everything. Okay, so we've got our sentiment here, and I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. Because if you get a little bit of excess here, you can just go ahead and trim that right off so that it is lined up. There we go. Okay. So now we're gonna bring in, I have our 2 inside pieces here. So we're gonna use the first one here. Let me bring back my scratch paper here. I'm gonna bring my Stampin' Right marker in the wild wheat, and we're just gonna go ahead and flick this. So what we're creating here is kind of that starry sky background. So in the catalog, the paper that they used for this is one of our designer series paper. But if it's sold out or you don't have it, sometimes you can just create the same effect and make your own designer series paper. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Okay, so we just flicked that. And so we created kind of this speckled of our own designer series paper there. Okay, love those Stampin' Right markers for that. Now, we're gonna bring in our layer here, and we're just gonna go ahead and adhere this down. Some of our liquid glue here. And we'll just center that. And then I have a piece that I already cut just at the same dimensions at a diagonal. This is from our 6x6 neutrals collection. So it reminded me a bit of grass. So we're gonna use that. I'll go ahead and adhere this down. Just line that up. And adhere that down. Okay, so we'll let that dry a second. We'll bring in a piece of Mossy Meadow. We're just gonna go ahead and glue our sentiment to that. There we go. And we're gonna put some dimensionals on the back of this. Okay, so now we're gonna put this on, peel back our dimensionals here. One more. And we're just gonna go ahead and put this on the left here. Okay, now we're gonna take our manger pieces here. We're gonna glue down our shepherds, and then we'll pop up our Mary and Joseph and the baby with some mini dimensionals. So just put those on. Love using the catalog for some inspiration. You can lots of times get their idea and make a little spin off of it, or even just recreate it. We call it casing, right? Copy and share everything, and that includes what's in the catalog, right? It's a great inspiration book. Okay, so these mini dimensionals, we'll just go ahead and pop those off. Now these are not wanting to come off, so let me use my take your pick tool. And you can pop those. That one's already off. Okay, pop those right off. And now we're just gonna go ahead and put this one just a tad lower. There's that other one. And then adhere that. So we've got our shepherds, we've got our Mary and Joseph, all popped up on there. Okay, now we really do get to assemble this card. So I'm gonna bring in my bone folder, and on those two score lines, we're just gonna go ahead and burnish those. So you can see this is just like a basic card base, and then we're gonna go ahead and burnish this one, which is going to create our easel here. Okay, so then on the inside here, we've got just a piece of very vanilla layer that we will go ahead and put inside. I'll just center that. Okay, and how I like to do this is I like to close it just like a regular card would close. And then we're just gonna put some adhesive on this bottom part. Then we'll take our layer here that we created, and I just line it up from the top corners. And go ahead and hold that a second. And so we've got it attached there to the top, but it's just on this bottom part, right? Just on that bottom part. So we'll give that a second. And we're gonna bring in our stopper piece. This is gonna be what's gonna hold our easel up. So for this, we're just gonna add some dimensionals right on the back. And we'll peel those off. Hey, my hands are sticky today. Okay, and then we'll take this part, and wherever you want your easel here, you're just gonna line this up. So if you want your easel to kind of, basically what it's gonna do, it's gonna be a stopper to kind of hold that in place. So now you'll flatten it, mail it like this. They will open it like this, and there you have your fun easel card. So I'm actually going to put a bling on. And so we have our star trinkets. You could use a rhinestone basic jewel, anything that you like. We're going to use one of these stars. I'm going to use one of the smaller ones here. And we're just going to put this right kind of at the top there. And there we have Joy and Peace, our fun easel card for the season using that Night Divine set. So I hope you love this card. I hope you love the inspiration from our catalog. So you can see here they used that designer series paper from that collection, but we created our own using the Stampin' Right marker and some very vanilla. So, all right, well, I will be back next Wednesday with another fun video. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet already to my weekly Buzz Bulletin so you can get all the measurements and the step-by-step how-tos on how to create this fun easel card. See you next week.